Force yourself to be consistent, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you a simple question. How often do we find ourselves starting something just to stop when it gets tough? How many dreams have you abandoned? How many ambitions remain unmet because you couldn't keep consistent? I'm come to tell you today that the difference between success and failure isn't talent. It's not luck, it's consistency. The willingness to show up day after day. Even when you don't feel like it, we've all been there. At the beginning, you're eager, fueled by motivation and enthusiasm. But then the grind begins. Life gets in the way. Obstacles emerge. And what do? We step back. We pause. We convince ourselves we'll get back to it when we have more energy or when things calm down. But let me tell you something. That day may never come if you keep waiting for the perfect moment. The secret is to force oneself to be constant, even when it's uncomfortable. Consistency is more powerful than motivation, and that's a concept you need to instill deep into your core if you ever want to reach the summit of your potential. Motivation is like a spark. It's bright, it's vibrant, and it gets things moving. But just like any flame, it fades down. And what you're left with is either a mound of ash or a continuous, smoldering fire that keeps burning even when the winds start up. That constant fire, that's what consistency is. It's not spectacular, but it's reliable. And in the end, it's what will take you past the finish line when everyone else has burnt out. Motivation is like a mood. It comes and goes. There will be days you wake up feeling unstoppable, leaping out of bed, eager to confront the day with energy and drive. But let's be honest, that's not every day. Most days, you wake up with a list of excuses as long as your arm. You'll be exhausted. You'll be sore. Maybe the weather's horrible. Maybe you had a hard night's sleep. Whatever it is, on certain days, motivation is nowhere to be found. It abandons you precisely when you need it most. That's why you can't rely on it. You can't wait for the stars to align or for everything to feel ideal. Because let's face it, life doesn't work like that. Things will always get in the way. And if you allow them, you'll be locked in a cycle of waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect attitude, or the perfect spark to begin moving. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care if you're sleepy, stressed, or if the weather is poor. Consistency says, I don't care how you feel today. We're doing this anyway. And that's where the magic happens. Because the moment you stop relying on motivation and start creating consistency, you become unstoppable. It's like switching a switch in your mind. You move from waiting for things to feel right to making things right through sheer willpower and discipline. It's not about being in the mood to perform the work. It's about making the work a non-negotiable aspect of your life. Think about it for a second. Look at everyone who has achieved success in their field. Athletes, artists, business leaders. What do they all have in common? It's not that they're always motivated. No, it's that they've mastered the art of showing up day in and day out, no matter what. They make consistency their best ally, and that's why they're at the top. It's not that they don't confront barriers or challenges. They do, just like everyone else. The difference is they've prepared themselves to push through those tough moments, to keep going when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when everyone else would rather quit. That's the strength of constancy. It establishes habits. And after you've created those habits, the work becomes automatic. It's no longer about how you feel in the moment. It's about staying faithful to the promise you've made to yourself. When you've been consistent long enough, skipping a workout or taking a day off doesn't feel like a relief. It feels wrong. It feels like you're betraying yourself because this habit, has become a part of who you are. That's what separates individuals who achieve their goals from those who don't. The ones who succeed have weaved consistency into the fabric of their life. They've made it a part of their identity. But make no mistake, building that level of consistency takes time. It requires work. It takes discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. No one's going to commend you for getting up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym or for staying late at the office to finish a project. But that's okay, because discipline isn't about recognition. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether anyone's looking or not. Discipline is the muscle that powers consistency. And like any muscle, it becomes stronger the more you use it. The more you show up, the easier it becomes to keep showing up. And let's talk about that for a second. Showing up, that's half the battle. Most people quit before they even begin. They talk themselves out of it before they've had a chance to make progress. They let their sentiments control their behavior. But you have to be different. You have to show up even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because those are the moments that matter the most. Those are the moments that divide the mediocre from the exceptional. It's simple to show up when you're excited, when everything's going your way, when motivation is high. But can you show up when things aren't going your way? Can you show up when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when you're weary and frustrated? That's the true test. And when you pass that exam, when you show up consistently, day after day, you start to develop something extraordinary. You start to generate momentum. Each modest action builds on the last. And before you realize it, you've produced a wave of momentum that sweeps you onward. And that momentum, that's powerful. It pulls you through the tough days. It makes it easier to keep going since you've already committed so much time and effort that stopping now feels like a betrayal of everything you've worked for. But here's the thing about consistency. It's not just about putting in the time. It's about putting in the appropriate kind of time. It's about being intentional with your activities. Just going through the motions isn't enough. You have to bring attention and enthusiasm to what you're doing, even on the days when it feels like a grind. Consistency isn't about being robotic. It's about being relentless. It's about continually pushing to develop, to get a little better each day, even when it feels like you're not making progress. And that's another essential point. Consistency doesn't always deliver quick results. In fact, most of the time the outcomes occur considerably later. It's like planting seeds. You don't notice the fruit immediately away, but if you keep tending to the soil, keep watering, keep nurturing, eventually you'll have a garden full with abundance. But it only happens if you're patient enough to wait for the harvest. Too many people give up right before they would have seen the effects. They plant the seeds, but when they don't see growth immediately away, they walk away. Don't be that person. Understand that consistency is a long game. It's not about immediate wins. It's about sustained work over time. And that's why consistency is more powerful than motivation. Motivation could get you started, but it's consistency that keeps you going. It's what distinguishes the dreamers from the doers. The folks who achieve their goals aren't the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who turn up day after day, even when they don't want to. They're the ones who keep pushing, even when it's hard. So when the enthusiasm fades, when the inspiration dies down, and when you're tempted to stop, remember this: it's not about how you feel in the present. It's about staying true to the commitment you make to yourself. It's about building the discipline to keep turning up, even when you don't want to. Because in the end, that's what will carry you to success. It feels impossible to even start. So we pause, we wait, we invent reasons. We allow dread and uncertainty to grasp our hearts because in our thoughts we've already failed before we've ever made the first step. But here's a truth you need to hold on to: success is not found in those enormous, life-changing moments. No, it's built in the modest, daily actions that seem trivial in the moment. It's not about gigantic leaps, it's about those modest, incremental movements that seem too small to matter, but over time, add up to something amazing. Too many individuals get caught up waiting for that perfect moment, that big break, that stroke of luck to catapult them forward. But if you spend your life waiting for those major moments, you'll be standing still forever. What you have to understand is that modest steps, those little moves that look like they aren't making a difference, are what lead to enormous results. Imagine for a second that you are ascending a mountain not by rushing or leaping, but simply placing one foot in front of the other. With every step, no matter how modest, you get a bit higher, a little closer to the summit. You can't always see how much progress you're making day by day. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck in the same place, but when you look back after months or years of constant effort, you'll be astounded at how far you've come. The key is consistency. It's not about making one great effort and hope it carries you through to the end. It's about turning up every single day, putting in the work even when it feels like nothing's happening. It's like a seed sown in the dirt. For days, weeks, maybe even months, You won't notice anything sprouting. You'll water it, you'll nurture it, yet it appears like nothing is growing. Yet underneath the surface, where you can't see, there's movement, roots reaching deep into the dirt, getting ready to support the growth that's about to break forth. That's what modest steps are like. You don't always see the benefits immediately, but that doesn't imply improvement isn't happening. Think about the stories of successful people you admire. They didn't wake up one day at the top of their game. They didn't suddenly become the finest in their profession overnight. They took little intentional measures every day, often for years before they noticed the great effects that everyone else recognizes. And that's the thing. People only see the end result. They see the glory, the accolades, the fame, the money. What they don't see are the countless hours of hard effort, the sacrifices, the setbacks, the failures that prepared the way for that accomplishment. Those tiny steps may not be glamorous. In fact, they often feel tedious. It's not always fun to wake up early, to stay late, to do the same thing day in and day out. But that's where the magic happens. It's in the repetition, in the grind, that you develop momentum. One step leads to another, and before you realize it, you've developed a habit, a rhythm. It's like a snowball going down a hill. It starts little, but as it keeps moving, it gathers more and more snow until it's gigantic and unstoppable. That's what occurs when you commit to taking modest moves. Too many people give up because they don't see immediate benefits. They seek the shortcut, the quick fix. But the truth is, anything worth having takes time. Real, sustainable success isn't built on a foundation of shortcuts. It's built on tenacity, on resilience, on the resolve to keep going even when it feels like you're not making any progress. Because here's the thing, small actions lead to enormous results, but only if you keep doing them. The minute you stop, you lose that momentum and you're back at square one. It's easy to feel disheartened when you're not getting instant benefits on your effort. It's tempting to think, what's the point? But that's the moment when you need to dig deep. That's the point when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. You didn't begin this adventure because it was easy. You started because you had a goal, a vision of where you wanted to be, and that vision doesn't come to life by sitting back and waiting for anything to happen. It comes to life via activity, small, steady action. You have to embrace the process. You have to fall in love with the trip, not just the goal, because the road is where you grow. The road is where you're tested, where you realize what you're truly capable of. Each single step is an opportunity to show to yourself that you can accomplish this, that you have what it takes. And when the huge results finally come, and they will, you'll look back and understand that it wasn't one giant jump that got you there. It was the accumulation of all those small steps, each one building on the last, constructing a road that brought you to your goal. And let me tell you something else. Those modest steps, they form character. They teach you discipline. They teach you patience. They drive you to create a work ethic that will serve you for the rest of your life. Because if you can commit to the small steps, if you can show up every day and put in the work, no matter how modest, then there is nothing you can't achieve. Success isn't about luck. It's about preparedness meeting opportunity. And preparation happens in the small moments, in the daily grind, in the tiny, seemingly trivial movements you take while no one is watching. So don't underestimate the power of those modest steps. Don't get disheartened when development feels slow, because every step you take is putting you closer to your objective. Every step is creating momentum. Every step is creating the basis for the great results that are heading your way. You might not be able to see the finish line yet, but know that it's there. And the only way you're going to reach it is by taking one step at a time. So quit waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the stars to align or for someone to give you permission to start. Take that initial step today, no matter how small it may appear. And then take another one tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Keep moving forward. Keep building. Keep striving. Because when you do, you'll look back one day and find that those modest steps have led to something far greater than you ever anticipated. Big outcomes don't come from big leaps. They originate from tiny, steady, constant effort. And if you commit to that, if you commit to taking those modest steps every day, Then success isn't just conceivable, it's guaranteed. The excuses, I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow, we've all created them. Excuses are easy, handy, and pleasant. They let you off the hook, making it all right to stop, to take it easy. But excuses are merely lies we make ourselves to justify not performing the hard work. And when you allow excuses to stack up, they become part of that wall, making it taller, thicker, tougher to break through. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. The wall is there. But how do I break through? The answer is simple but not easy: constancy. Consistency is the hammer that smashes down that wall. Not one swing, not two, but day after day, hit after hit. Showing up even when you don't want to. Showing up when it's hard, when it's unpleasant, when you're exhausted, when you'd rather do anything else. That's how you break through. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not the highlight reel that people see. It's not the huge moments of victory. It's the effort, the sweat, the perseverance when no one is watching. It's the alarm going off at 500 a.m. and dragging yourself out of bed when all you want to do is push snooze. It's staying late, putting in the additional hours when you'd rather be relaxing. It's making the choice day after day to push a bit harder, to go a little further, to keep going even when there's no immediate reward in sight. And let me tell you something else. Consistency is not simply about effort. It's about belief. You have to believe that the wall can be broken. Because if you don't, you've already lost. If you approach that wall thinking it's too high, too strong, too tough to break through, then it will be. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you have, and what you believe will mold your reality. If you feel you can break through, you will. If you don't, you'll turn around at the first hint of resistance. When that voice in your head grows loud, and it will, you have to make a choice. Are you going to listen to it, or are you going to fight back? Because that voice is just another component of the wall. It's your worries, your concerns, your excuses, attempting to convince you that it's acceptable to stop. But your devotion, your drive, your thirst for more, those have to be louder. You have to drown out that voice with the sound of your own willpower. Every time you push through the pain, every time you go beyond what you thought you were capable of, you chip away at that wall. And every time you do, you come out stronger on the other side. You start to realize that the wall isn't as substantial as it seemed. It's not as impenetrable as you expected. Every struggle you meet, every hurdle you overcome makes that wall weaker, makes you stronger. And one day, you'll look back and discover that the wall wasn't actually there at all. It was merely an illusion, a barrier you threw up in your own mind. You see, the wall is a test. It's there to see how strongly you actually want it, to see if you're willing to go the distance, to withstand the fight, to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to quit. Most folks will stop at the wall. They'll fabricate their reasons, let their worries take over, and walk away. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be standing in front of that wall thinking how to break through it. You'd already have turned around, but you haven't. And that's the first step. So when you meet that wall, and you will, remember this: it's not there to stop you. It's there to test you. It's there to see how much you're willing to battle for your aspirations, for your goals, for your future. And if you want it hard enough, if you're willing to be consistent, to push past the agony, to fight through the fear, then that wall will break. It has no choice but to fall when faced with unshakable resolve. The agony you feel, the difficulty you endure, it's temporary. It's the price of advancement, the expense of grandeur. But the pride, the satisfaction, the fulfillment you'll feel when you burst through that wall, that lasts. That's what makes it all worth it. So don't stop, don't turn around, don't let that wall be the end of your adventure. Break through it, demonstrate the world, and more importantly, demonstrate yourself that you have what it takes to go the distance. Because on the other side of that wall is everything you've ever wanted. When we think about success, it's tempting to get caught up in the final image, the huge aim, the reward at the end. We dream of what it feels like to finally reach the peak, to stand at the top and gaze down at all the hard work behind us. It's normal to anticipate that success, the promotion, the accolades, the financial security, the sensation of accomplishment. That outcome is what pushes so many of us to wake up each morning and put in the effort. It's the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps us going. But there's a fundamental fact that too many of us forget: the conclusion isn't everything. In actuality, it's simply a minor portion of the story. What genuinely matters, what shapes you, what prepares you for the outcome, is the process. You see, we are socialized to chase outcomes from an early age. We're trained to think about the reward: getting the A on an exam, winning a trophy, obtaining a nice job, reaching a particular milestone in life. But here's the thing: if you're solely focused on the result, you're missing the point. You're missing the most vital component of success: the road that takes you there. The trip is where the growth happens. It's where the lessons are taught, where character is created, where the real work takes place. It's easy to get impatient. We live in a world preoccupied with quick pleasure. We want stuff now. We seek shortcuts, hacks, quick answers. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts to real achievement. There is no fast pathway to greatness. The process cannot be circumvented. It's the grind, the day-to-day effort, that consistency, that forms the framework for success. The product may appear dazzling, but it's the journey that ultimately transforms you. Think of it this way: the outcome is a moment, a tiny picture in time. It's the moment when you achieve what you set out to do. But that moment is ephemeral. It passes swiftly. And once it's gone, you're left with something far more lasting: the process. The process is the long stretch, the trip filled with ups and downs, failures and breakthroughs. It's the sweat, the battle, the late nights and early mornings. It's the sacrifices you make, the hard decisions, the hurdles you overcome. And that process is when you find your genuine strength. That's where you gain the talents, the mindset, and the resilience to not only achieve success but to sustain it. Success doesn't just come to those who seek it. It comes to those who are willing to put in the work day in and day out, even when the result seems far off, even when the outcome isn't assured. It's simple to stay motivated when the objective is within reach. But what about when the objective feels miles away? What about when you're not seeing the progress you expected? That's when the process becomes essential. Too often, people feel disheartened because they don't see quick results. They work hard for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but when the outcome doesn't emerge immediately away, they quit up. They assume they failed because the result isn't there yet. But success doesn't work on a predictable time frame. It demands patience. It takes faith in the process. And that's where consistency comes in. Consistency forces you to commit to the process, to show up every single day, regardless of whether or not the outcome is in sight. It's about doing the right things over and over again, knowing that those modest everyday activities will eventually lead to the results you desire. Success belongs to those who embrace the process, who stay the course, who refuse to stop. And when you do that, the results will arrive. Process. It's the process that molds you, that develops your character, that gives you the lessons you need to achieve. The process is where the real work happens. It's where you discover what you're truly made of. It's where you find your grit, your tenacity, your drive. And when you commit to the process, you become unstoppable. Because once you've learned to appreciate the trip, once you've embraced the daily grind, there's nothing that can stand in your way. The outcome is no longer your main focus. It becomes secondary. What counts is that you're putting in the work, that you're keeping consistent, that you're doing what needs to be done regardless of whether or not anyone else sees it. And that's the beauty of the process. It's often invisible. People don't see the hours you put in behind the scenes. They don't see the sacrifices you make, the challenges you endure. They only see the outcome, the moment of success. But you know that it's the process that got you there. You realize that without the numerous hours of effort, without the losses and the mistakes, the conclusion would never have been achieved. And that knowing gives you a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment that goes much beyond the result. So the next time you find yourself getting caught up in the outcome, take a step back. Remind yourself that the process is where the magic happens. The process is where you become the person capable of accomplishing that objective. The process is what prepares you for success, what equips you with the tools you need to not just reach your objective, but to thrive once you've done it. You can't control every outcome. Life is unpredictable, and occasionally things don't go the way we plan. But what you can control is your work, your passion, your consistency. You can influence how you show up every day, how you approach the process. And when you focus on the process, when you fall in love with the trip, the results will arrive. They may not come when you anticipate them, and they may not look exactly how you envisioned, but they will come. And when they do, you'll be ready, not just because you wanted the outcome, but because you accepted the process that led you there. So don't chase the result. Don't get so focused on the outcome that you lose sight of the journey. Chase the habit of being constant. Chase the process. Because it's the process that develops you, that prepares you, that shapes you into the person you're supposed to be. And when you fall in love with the process, when you commit to the trip, the end will take care of itself. Accountability is a term that cuts through the noise. It's not flashy or exciting, but it's important. Without it, dreams remain just that, dreams. You see, we all have moments where we establish big objectives and feel inspired to transform our lives. We write them down, map out the plan, and make pledges to ourselves. But then life gets in the way. Distractions, sloth, excuses, they all creep in. Before we realize it, those ambitions we were once so enthusiastic about appear remote, buried under a mountain of tomorrows that never came. And why? Because when no one is watching, it's easy to let things pass. It's easy to convince yourself that skipping a day, missing a step doesn't really matter. But here's the truth, it matters more than you can think. Each day, each instant is a building block. When you skip today, when you sacrifice just a little bit, it could feel like a tiny misstep, but it's not. Today becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes the next day. Before long, you've lost momentum. And what started as a minor lapse has developed into a full-blown retreat from your goals. You've lost ground, not because you couldn't achieve what you set out to do, but because you didn't hold yourself accountable. That's the weight of accountability. It's the invisible force that keeps you in line, that pushes you when no one else is present, and that assures you're moving forward, even when it's hard. It's simple to claim you'll stay dedicated, but it's accountability that determines whether you'll actually do it. We've all been there, faced with the choice to push ourselves or take the easy way out. Maybe it's waking up at 500 a.m. for a workout. Maybe it's working late to finish that project or studying when you'd rather relax. In those moments, no one else will know if you skip out, if you let it slide, but you will know. And that's where accountability has to come from, you. You have to hold yourself to the level you've set. You have to determine that your ambitions, your dreams, are worth more than the fleeting comfort of giving up or finding excuses. There's a reason why keeping yourself accountable is hard. It's because it requires you to confront the truth. It pushes you to look in the mirror and face the person accountable for where you are, the person staring back at you. It's easy to blame circumstances, to point fingers at things beyond of your control. But deep down, you know that it's on you. You control your conduct, your discipline, your effort. And when you fall short, when you skip the effort, it's on you. That kind of honesty is tough, but it's vital. If you ever want to be consistent, if you ever want to break through and achieve the things you've set out to do, you must hold yourself accountable. To keep yourself accountable, you must set standards that you refuse to compromise on. These norms aren't negotiable. They are the line you draw in the sand, the point you won't cross. Whether it's getting up at a certain hour, finishing a specific activity each day, or hitting a target, you set the bar and you don't let yourself fall below it. No excuses. No justifications. It doesn't matter how exhausted you are, how hectic the day was, or how difficult things got. Your standards are your guidance, and you stay faithful to them. Writing your objectives down is one of the most powerful strategies to hold yourself accountable. When you write anything down, it becomes real. It's not simply an idea floating about in your mind, it's a solid commitment you've made to yourself. Write them down, make them visible, and look at them every single day. Put them wherever you can't ignore, on your mirror, your desk, your phone backdrop, whatever it takes to keep them in front of you. Remind yourself daily why you're doing what you're doing. Goals lose potency when you forget about them. They become just another thing on a lengthy list of things you'll get to someday. But when you see them every day, when you remind yourself of the reasons you started, those goals recover their urgency. They cease being something you'll get to later and become something you're working on now in the present. But responsibility isn't simply about writing things down, it's about doing. It's about surrounding yourself with individuals who will push you to stay on track. People who won't let you off the hook when you fall short. These are the folks that care enough about you and your success to call you out when you're falling. They are the ones that remind you of the standard you've set for yourself and urge you to rise to it. Even when you don't feel like it. We all need folks like them in our life, because, let's face it, we're not always going to feel driven. There will be days when you don't want to show up, when you're tempted to slack off, but having folks in your corner who won't accept your excuses can make all the difference. The people you surround yourself with have a huge impact on your degree of accountability. If you're among individuals who make excuses, who justify mediocrity, it becomes simpler to do the same. But if you're around individuals who push themselves, who set high standards and stick to them, that lifts your game. And here's the thing, it's not just about them keeping you accountable. It's about you being accountable to them as well. It's about mutual respect and shared devotion. When you know others are expecting on you to show up, it adds another degree of responsibility. And that's a tremendous motivation. But the most crucial component of accountability is being honest with yourself. Better tomorrow. This kind of honesty is rare, but it's what differentiates people who reach their goals from those who don't. You can't lie to yourself and expect to achieve. You can't shrug off your failures and expect to develop. When you hold yourself accountable, something tremendous happens. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe in your ability to follow through, to stay to your word, and that belief is vital. It's what gives you the courage to take on bigger difficulties, to set even higher goals, because you know you have the discipline to see them through. Accountability increases self-respect. It's a declaration that you value your word, that when you say you're going to do something, you mean it. That type of honesty, that commitment to oneself, is what differentiates individuals who talk about their ambitions from those who actually live them. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Accountability isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up day after day and doing the work even when it's hard. It's about holding yourself to the standard you set, refusing to let yourself off the hook, and pushing through when no one else is watching. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can make your goals a reality is you, and that starts with holding yourself accountable every single day. Failure is not the enemy. It's not some enormous roadblock placed in your path to hinder you from reaching your dreams. No. Failure is a part of the trip, a vital piece of the puzzle that gets you to where you want to be. But here's the thing, most of us are afraid of it. We fear failure because we've been taught to avoid it, to perceive it as a reflection of our weaknesses, and that's where so many go wrong. The reality is, failure is one of your greatest teachers, but it only works its magic if you have the courage, the resilience, and the consistency to keep trying in spite of it. Think about that for a second. If you stop when things get bad, if you let every setback convince you that you're not good enough, how will you ever go forward? How will you ever learn? Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of the same process. Every successful person you know, every individual who stands at the summit of their field has suffered failure. They've slipped, fallen, and questioned themselves. The difference: they didn't stay down. They didn't let failure define who they were or what they were capable of. They embraced it, learned from it, and kept pushing forward. Now, I know what you're thinking, easier said than done. Failure hurts. It stings. It can shake you to your core, make you doubt everything. And that's real. That agony, that frustration, that doubt, it's all real. But so is your ability to push through it. So is your potential to rise once you've fallen. What people frequently forget is that failure is not final unless we stop. It's merely a lesson, a stepping stone on the route to achievement. You only fail permanently when you decide to quit trying. When you fail, and trust me, you have two choices. You can either let it consume you, let it convince you that you're not good enough, or you can use it. You may turn that failure into fuel, something that inspires you to be better, stronger, more driven than before. The question is not if you will fail, but how you will respond when you do. Will you let failure stop you, or will you let it sharpen you? Will you allow it to push you to new heights? There's power in failure, but only if you can perceive it for what it is, a tool. Too frequently, we get caught up in the dread of failing, in the anxiety of messing up, that we overlook the chances that lie within those moments. Failure challenges you to face your weaknesses. It sheds a light on the areas where you need to progress. And if you can stand tall in the face of failure, if you can keep pushing forward, even when things don't go as planned, you will emerge stronger. Consistency in the face of failure, that's the key. It's simple to keep motivated when things are going well, but what about when they aren't? What about when you've given your all and still come up short? Those are the moments that define you. Those are the occasions when your consistency will be challenged the most. But those are also the moments when you have the most to gain. If you can push through it, if you can stay devoted, even when it feels like the world is against you, there is nothing you can't achieve. Failure is not a barricade, it's a detour. And diversions, while frustrating, can bring you to places you never imagined you'd travel. Think about that. Think about the instances in your life when something didn't work out the way you wanted it to. And now, looking back, you know it was a blessing in disguise. Failure is like that. It's only in the moment that it feels overwhelming, but in time, with perspective, you'll understand that it was setting you up for something better. The biggest mistake people make is letting failure define them. You are not your failures, you are not your mistakes. You are not the setbacks or the missteps along the path. You are the person who gets back up, who keeps moving forward, who refuses to be defeated. That's who you are. And that's what success is about: persistence, perseverance, consistency. Think about all the people you admire, the people who've accomplished remarkable things. Do you think they got there without failing? Absolutely not. They failed over and over again. They experienced rejection, disappointment, and doubt. But what they didn't do was quit. They didn't allow failure to become the narrative of their lives. They rewrote that narrative. Every time they fell, they got back up, dusted themselves off, and kept going. That's the difference. The individuals who make it in life, the people who realize their dreams, are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail but refuse to remain down. They're the ones who take that failure, learn from it, and use it to come back stronger. Every failure is an opportunity to progress. It's a chance to learn something new, to alter your approach, to become better than you were before. But you only get that opportunity if you continue in the game. If you give up at the first hint of hardship, you'll never know what you're capable of. Failure is merely a short setback, not the end of the path. And if you can stay consistent, if you can keep going forward, you'll find that every setback is building you up for a greater comeback. That's the power of failure. It doesn't have to be the end, unless you make it the end. You have the potential to turn every failure into a stepping stone, every setback into a setup for something larger, something better. So the next time you confront failure, don't run from it. Don't let it discourage you or make you question your worth. Instead, embrace it. Use it. Let it fuel you. Learn from it, adjust, and keep moving forward. Because failure, when you look at it the correct way, is not the enemy, it's an ally. It's a part of the road that takes you to success. Consistency in the face of failure is what separates those who achieve from those who don't. It's simple to keep going when everything is falling into place, but it takes genuine grit, real character, to keep moving forward when things fall apart. That's where growth happens. That's where greatness is forged. And if you can stay the path, if you can remain consistent no matter how many times you fall, you'll look back one day and realize that failure wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be welcomed. Because every failure took you one step closer to where you were intended to be. Every failure was setting you up for something larger. Every failure was a part of your triumph story. Remember that the next time you stumble, don't let failure be the end of your story. Let it be the beginning of something great. Keep going, keep pushing, keep believing, and observe how failure transforms into your best ally on the way to achievement.